delayed getting back to you guys all. Been kind of working my way through some things as far as how I wanted to approach this next episode because there's been a lot of shit going on out there. And as always, we try to be a little bit mindful of um, our accuracy to make sure that the information that I'm getting you is as close to accurate as I can get with the information that I've been able to glean from various different places. Um, but the one thing that's always been in the back of my mind is I really don't understand how um, people are having such an issue with the politics that's going on right now. And my question to most people, and some of them, they may or not give me an answer, and I welcome any comments as far as what you think about what I'm about to say. You can either do it through Facebook or any of the other media outlets, streaming outlets that I'm on. Is that how? My first question is, how are you guys that are so anti-Trump so upset with the fact that um, he is pretty much delivering what he said he was going to do through the campaign? And I don't understand how people, have gone from, well, we need transparency. Well, here's a guy, and I don't necessarily agree with everything he's doing, and I don't like the way a lot of times that he's presenting it, but he's been saying I'm going to do A, B, C, and D, and he's doing A, B, C, and D, and yet everybody's getting all screwed up over this whole thing. And my question is, if Joe Biden had done this with the whole Doge thing and, looking for corruption and looking for all this other kind of stuff, which I personally don't think that Joe would have done, but if he had, for argument's sake, would you still be that upset? Or is it just because you don't like Trump so deeply and have such a hatred for the man that no matter what he does, it's never going to be good enough? He could make everybody a millionaire in this country, and you guys would all still be barking. I mean, there's a lot of things going around on social media and saying, well, the people that are crying about what's going on with Doge and stuff like that, and the government gives them a $5,000 rebate, they'd spend it in a heartbeat. And yes, and I've got some people that are saying, oh, well, I would give it to the people that lost their jobs unnecessarily and so on and so forth. I don't understand how you can honestly say that and be realistic with yourself that if the government's going to hand you a check for $5,000 because they've found X amount of dollars of fraud and you're not okay with that and you're not going to accept that money, why? I mean, it's our money. And if they're spending it fraudulently, we should get a refund. A lot of people seems to have forgotten that the government, the people that are in the government, the congressmen, the senators, all the way up through the Supreme Court, and I realize that they're appointed, and I realize that they're appointed by whoever the president is, and it's got to go through the Congress, and I get all that. But yet we voted for those people that are putting those people into the offices that they are holding. So if they're not accountable for the mistakes they've been making, why are we not entitled to a rebate or a refund for our money? I mean, if you buy a piece of stock of a block of stock from a corporation, you're a shareholder. You're entitled to know where that money's going. And I know I went through this the other day, but I got thinking about it, and I'm saying, what is wrong with people? You want accountability, you're getting accountability, but yet you don't like it because it's coming from Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump wants to fix some. Well, that's not good enough because it's Donald Trump. I mean, I'm not a fan. Don't get me wrong. I am not a fan of Donald Trump. I'm not trying to defend him because the only thing I'm saying is that he's the president of the United States, and I don't want to see any president fail. It does me, it does you, it doesn't do anybody any good for a president of the United States to fail at anything that they're trying to accomplish. That just doesn't make any sense because that would make us look even worse on the world stage, and it would hinder our ability to be able to make decisions about how we go forward in the global uh, economies and the global social aspects and the military and the political aspects of everything that happens in the world. We would have no seat at the table. And I'm reading a book. Don't let the devil sit at your table. And it's very interesting take on not letting outside issues get to you. But and again, it brings me back to I'm thinking I don't understand. If somebody could please explain to me why it is so bad that somebody who's saying that he's going to do this is doing it. You want accountability and you want more transparency, and he's giving it to you because he's on TV every day doing media talk things and he's talking with the press and he's answering questions. Joe Biden was hiding for 4 years, and who knows who's actually running it. In my opinion, it was either his wife or Soros or somebody on the outside. And again, my opinion, but I think the Biden family, Jill and Hunter and all those guys, and maybe not Hunter because his daddy Pat pardoned him, but his family should be brought up on charges for elder abuse because putting that man out front like that in the state that he was in and is in now was just inhumane and cruel. And that's just not the way you treat your elders. And that just is my opinion. But, going back to what we were discussing, the fact of the matter is that I if somebody could give me a reasonable answer other than, well, it's Donald Trump and he's this. I mean, you look at what's going on in New York with the mayor. Um, he decided he's going to work with Donald Trump. Okay, well, he worked just when what he was getting paid, or whether he wasn't getting paid, or he's getting off on something that he shouldn't have gotten off on. Deals are made all the time, and it's not like they can't prosecute him because they're going after him because he wants to work with Donald Trump on the immigration thing and getting that straightened out. That's a bad thing, and now you're going to go after him. We are all concerned about the immigrants coming in, and I'm not saying we have to bar people from coming into our country. I encourage people that want to make their lives better to do it, but do it the right way. And it's the same thing with anybody else. I've got people saying, well, we should be taking care of this. We should take care of that. The old expression is charity begins at home. Okay. We need to take care of our people and fix our house before we can go ahead and take care of other people. And I have no problem with sending aid to our allies and helping them out, but we need to take care of our people first. There is absolutely 100%, maybe more, maybe 1,000% reason why we have veterans that fought for this fucking country to make a better life for us and for people to go out and act like assholes and idiots and have the freedom to do that. And they're sleeping on the streets. When somebody who comes into this country illegally is put up in high-end hotels and given a credit card for $300 a month to go out and buy food and all that kind of stuff. These people are coming across the border and they're walking in with suitcases full of shit. And they're here illegally. In the meantime, the poor guys that serve this country, the men and the women that put their lives on the line for us to have our freedoms, to have the opinions that we have, and they're lying on the streets and begging for money because they don't have a job, or they can't get housing, or whatever the reasons are. That is just shameful on every single fucking level. And that shouldn't be the way it is. We should be taking care of those people. We should be taking care of the people that are underprivileged in all the communities of our country that are out there. And if you look at all the people that are suffering, most of them are in minority communities. And guess who is running those minority communities? Democrats. And just as a history lesson for all of you guys that don't want to hear about this, not for nothing, but the Democrats wanted to keep the African American people slaves. It was the Republicans that let them free and signed bills to make them part of the society, and more or less on an equal level. And that's a whole other story as far as what happened there, because they were three fifths of a person, and that's how they got the votes, and when the Constitution was first put together, and so on and so forth. But that again is a discussion for another day. But they want to have the complete control. And I realize that government wants to have complete control also, but we work for them, or they work for us rather. I apologize for that. I misspoke. And we need to let them know that they work for us. And if they can't do the job, you get fired. And that's what the Doge thing is doing. And I don't see what's so difficult about asking somebody who works for the government to have somebody, an outside auditor, because they're not going to use somebody that's part of the government, and walk in and say, all right, justify why you're here. Give me 5 reasons of what you've done in the past week to justify why you're still working here. That's not that hard. If you're working for a company and they ask you to say, hey, what'd you do this week? And you can't come up with 5 legitimate reasons of what you did and why you did them, your ass is on the street. That's just the way it is. That's business. And again, nobody can come up from the other side to say that is wrong because of this. What is wrong with having somebody be accountable for what they're doing and the hours that they're spending and the work that they're doing? How is that wrong if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing? If you're just there collecting a paycheck and you're not doing anything, you're wasting money. You're wasting time. Get rid of them. And I implore you, you don't agree with me? Tell me why. My email address is on the website. My website is www.drunkdutchman.com. I'll put it up there for you if you want, so you can see it. That's where you can find it. And you can write me a letter. And you can go there and send it. If you see this on social media, make a comment. I have no problem with that. You want to criticize me for it? Go ahead. Okay. But I want to hear why that this is such a problem for people. And don't give me a bunch of nonsense about, well, it's not fair because they lose their jobs and they have families to feed. We all have families to feed. Okay. We all need to go out and work. And if we're not doing our jobs, we get fired. That's the way it works. That's the business end of it. And business isn't always pretty. And that's what you have to understand. You're not entitled. Nobody's entitled. The only people that are entitled, there's one person that's entitled, and that's the good Lord above. He's the only one that's entitled. He can do whatever he wants. But he's also looking out for us. And right now, he doesn't know what to do. I'm sure he does, but he hasn't told us yet. And in the meantime, the only way we're going to get together is if we can somehow or another have these conversations and not call each other names and not be belligerent about, well, you're wrong and you're an asshole and you don't know what you're talking about. You're just a moron, blah, 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 blah. You come from the shallow end of the pool. You don't know what you're talking about. You got no intelligence. You can't figure this out. Do a little bit of homework and figure it out. I mean, you can't just take what the media, mainstream media tells you. You can't go to social media and get your explanations there, because 90% at this point, it's probably 90% is generated by artificial intelligence, and it's not always accurate. I mean, I had a discussion with somebody on Facebook about it that said, "Hey, you know, this would you agree with this?" I said, "On face value, yeah, but I don't know enough about it." And I did a little research, and some of this stuff was accurate. But the reason it was inaccurate is because what the proposition was didn't meet the standards, and it wanted the United States in this case wanted to go to a different chamber and get it settled there, which then they voted yes for. But because it was sent to the Security Council, and the Security Council is where we have veto power. It's the United States, and it was overwhelming voted for 10-0 with 5 abstentions. So it was passed. Now it becomes legally binding in the court of law, in the world courts. So there's a reason why they voted no. And unless you're getting the whole story, you don't know whether or not the facts are true. You got to do a little background. So yeah, on first blush, yeah, it was bad that the United States sided with Russia because they said no. But if you dig into it, it's because this happened, this needed to happen, and that did happen. So again, you got to do whatever you need to do. And there's a thing that went out. I'm going to end with this. That went out maybe a year ago or so, and it was a discussion between a donkey and a tiger. And the donkey ran around saying that the grass was blue, the grass was blue, the grass was blue. The tiger said, no, it's green. And they argued back and forth, and they went to the lion to get it straightened out. And the lions eventually heard both sides and eventually said, you are right, donkey. The grass is blue. Tiger, you're going to be punished with 3 days of silence. So the donkey ran off all happy, screaming that the grass was blue, the grass was blue, the grass was blue. Tiger looks at the lion and says, why are you punishing me? So the lion says to him, he says, look, he goes, you and I both know that the grass is green. So why are you arguing with an ass? Because he's going to believe what he's going to want to believe, regardless of whether the facts are. You know it. I know it. But you can't argue with an ass. And if you're smarter and you think about it, why are you doing that? You're wasting your time. It's a waste of energy. And that's pretty much where I'm coming from. And I'm not saying I'm the smartest guy on the planet, because I am not. I am probably the dumbest fucking person you want to listen to. But at least they do some homework, and at least they look into things, and I try to make common sense. And this is all common sense, folks. This is not anything that's rocket science. All right. Yes, we have a rocket scientist that's in charge of figuring out where the money's going, but I am not one of those. All right. I'm a beer swizzling, know nothing, drunk Dutchman. And with that, I wish you guys a great afternoon, a great day, what's left of it. Enjoy your tomorrow, and keep chugging away. That's all I can say. Cheers, everybody. Have a good day, and God bless you all.